of the pick and roll. They also said we didn't match Utah's energy. We struggled with points in the paint and second chance points, all byproducts of poor rebounding, guys.
Remember, we talked about how Tracy McGrady said to us pregame, the key to beating the Jazz is to hit first. Not only did the Jazz hit the Rockets first tonight, it took the Rockets until midway through the second quarter to hit back. They were getting crushed on the glass, but then there was that timeout. Doris, they came out of the timeout. McGrady had a rebound, a basket, a steal. And for the last 6 or 7 minutes of the second quarter, the Rockets played with much better intensity.
They did, but comparatively speaking, at the start of this game, it felt like the Houston Rockets were in the corner of a boxing ring just taking body blows. Especially, I mean, you just must compete on the glass. Utah, you know, under Jerry Sloan, they are tough-minded. They're aggressive. They're physical. They're going to foul you a lot. And you have got to absorb their contact and be as prepared to be physical as they are.
And there were several moments in the first half where it looked like this game might completely get away from Houston. Don't look now. Early in the second half, they're within 4. Darren Williams using the screen by Okur. Okur putting it on the floor, knocks it in from the baseline. Again, getting a little better at that, not just taking threes all the time.
Boy, if he ever adds that consistently to his arsenal, he'll be a tough check. That's 6'11" with tremendous consistency perimeter shooting.
In and out for McGrady. Mutombo with the offensive rebound. Bobby Jackson at the point for the injured Rafer Alston out with a pulled hamstring. They hope to have him back for Game 3 in Utah. Wide open, Shane Battier.
Rafer Alston, Yao Ming, the entire bench loving it. And what do you notice about Tracy? He makes that cross-court pass off the drive as well as anyone in the league because he's got great size, Dan. They could see it.
McGrady now with 5 assists. What a cut by Kirilenko and an equally sweet feed from Carlos Boozer.
Well, you look at Boozer's passing ability, and he is terrific.
14 points tonight for Kirilenko. Easily the high score for the Jazz. McGrady with the left-handed lay-in.
I've said it over and over, and that's a guy who can get to the rack anytime he wants to. And like Darren Williams, he does a terrific job of switching hands when he gets close to the rack.
McGrady now with 17, the high score in the game. Darren Williams driving on Bobby Jackson. Mutombo blocks it. A little finger wag for good measure. Scola from McGrady. And a foul on Okur. The Mutombo block really energizing the crowd.
Well, twice on the pipes. This guy will get the finger wag going. He's going to send a message. There's the help defense, something that this team does very well. Actually, both teams very good, help defensive oriented. Well, this guy's so good. A little bump by Darren Williams. Welcome to the playoffs. That's the kind of foul that Jeff Van Gundy loves. Yes. Right there. He said, that's the playoffs, folks.
Mutombo almost 42, second on the NBA's all-time block shot list. And just a little subtle, not looking at the player, not taunting. Doesn't want to get a technical, but he's got to wag that finger just a little bit. Over 3,000 blocks in the career of Dikembe Mutombo. The Rockets were down double digits through much of the second quarter, now back within 2. Okur wide open. And look at the Rockets surrounding the ball now. They have done a much better job on the glass since midway through the second quarter. Remember, they gave up 10 early offensive rebounds to the Jazz. McGrady cannot shake Kirilenko. The Jazz have switched. They put Kirilenko now on McGrady. Brewers on Battier. Jackson misses the 3. And that's the 10th rebound of the night for Boozer. Williams loses it. McGrady to Scola. High game.
You wonder if Jerry Sloan wants a timeout. I think he's probably going to get one here. That's twice in transition off defensive plays.
It'll be Houston ball. Jackson forces the Williams turnover.
I'll tell you this. Bobby Jackson has done a sensational job. This is what I was talking about. Off the defense, bounce pass. That's Tracy McGrady at 6'7", can handle with either hand. Terrific pass. Bobby Jackson deserves a ton of credit for the defensive job he's doing on Darren Williams.
The Rockets have come back from 13 down to tie it. Led by McGrady, who gets it back, switches hands, lays it in, and is fouled.
This crowd has been sensational. A 7-0 run triggered by the defense of the Houston Rockets and Tracy McGrady. Little takeover ability by the sleepy-eyed one. Gets blocked initially. Great persistence.
Number 3 on Boozer. McGrady looking for his 20th point of the night. In and out. And it'll stay with Houston. Kirilenko arguing the call. But again, I think Houston fans, the sneer on his face, him playing a little bit angry, him getting to the rim. And his passing has been beautiful tonight. 6 assists for McGrady. Scola got it back. Plenty of time. They got a fresh 24 after the free throw miss. Jackson. And Utah, Brewer finally comes down to the rebound.
Utah had complete control of the game because they had complete control of the glass. That is over because Houston has competed on the backboards.
They may not have hit first, but they have definitely started hitting back here inside the Toyota Center. Down by as many as 13, the Houston Rockets have come back to take the lead here early in the second half. Let's go back to a huddle in the second quarter. Houston coach Rick Adelman is wired.
You start getting control of the game by rebounding. You can't do it all in one possession. It can't happen all at once. You're doing the right thing, Tracy. You're finding people. We just got to keep playing. Yep. Come on now.
And that's what they started doing. They started playing harder. They started rebounding. These are two coaches. Neither one's going to panic. Rick Adelman's got more than 800 wins in the NBA. Jerry Sloan more than 1,000. They've both been to the NBA Finals twice, although neither has ever won a championship. Boozer knocks down the jumper to tie it. And it took Houston about 20 minutes, actually, to get into this game. But now they're trading blows with the Utah Jazz.
I think you could make a strong case for Rick Adelman Coach of the Year because the vast majority of people gave them up for dead when Yao went out with the injury.
Jackson misses the jumper. Here come the Jazz. Williams using that strength, puts the brakes on and finds Boozer. Beautifully done.
But Darren Williams, 8 points. That's his 5th assist. I think Bobby Jackson's done a pretty good job. Now that time, a little bit harder for him to match up in transition.
Darren Williams, of course, spending time with the Olympic team last summer in Las Vegas and figures to be, you would think, a part of the Olympic team in Beijing this coming summer, and a better athlete than people give him credit for, and just a tremendously strong guy.
Yeah, you're not going to bump this guy off where he wants to go. He just sends Bobby Jackson flying, creates enough space, and Boozer goes right at him. That's 6'3", 208 pounds. He might be the most difficult physical matchup because Chris Paul's a little bit slighter than he is physically.
Hesitation by Williams, gets inside, the extra pass to Boozer. Mutombo recovers to force him to pick up his dribble. Shot clock at 5. Williams inside to Brewer, the follow by Boozer.
What happens when Darren Williams gets below the free throw line and keeps his dribble? You have a world of things open up for that guy. There's options all over the floor. Keep him above the free throw line.
And again, an example of him being a better athlete than people give him credit for. He can get around some people. Scola. In and out, and Mutombo is fouled. Let's check in with Heather Cox.
Guys, you just heard from Rick Adelman. While on the flip side, Coach Sloan's concern in the last time out was that Houston is pushing the Jazz way too far outside the paint. They want to establish position on the low blocks and then keep it. He said you're giving up position too easy. So, Doris, look for Boozer to become more of a presence inside in the next few minutes.
Oh, yeah, well, he just went to the bench with 4th personal foul. A huge story with 6.5 to play in the 3rd.
And Scola goes right to work on his replacement. Millsap the foul.
Scola early Nobody in this season took himself out of games by getting in foul trouble. He's figured out how to defend and how to play in this league. And with Boozer, he goes right after Millsap, gets him high. He's not going to wow you with athletic ability, but he's going to wow you because he gets the job done. Coming off back-to-back 22-point games to close the regular season, averaged 12 rebounds a game the last 3 games, became more and more important as the season went along for the Houston Rockets. Williams down to the post. Haven't seen him there all that much tonight. Kirilenko misses the shot. McGrady the rebound as Houston can tie or take the lead midway through the third. Scola runs right into Millsap. Battier back to Scola, off balance and fouled again. And if it's Millsap, that will be number 4 on him. So both power forwards, Boozer and Millsap, with 4 fouls for Utah. Well, they were wondering whether they could be effective. Well, this guy, he just has a good feel, slips the screen, sets it, and then rolls right to the rim. He's got a great understanding of how to use his body. He's not going to explode over people and dunk on you, but he's going to body up. He's going to be creative with either hand. Scola the miss. Sunday, NASCAR is on ESPN with the Sprint Cup on an off weekend. NASCAR's top guns look to tame the 2.5-mile road course at Mexico City. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Mexico City, presented by Kawasaki on ESPN Sunday afternoon. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at 1:30 Eastern. So Millsap out. And Matt Harpring is our next contestant to try to defend Luis Scola. Well, to Heather's point, if there's a guy who's going to be a warrior and fight for position, that's Matt Harpring. Harpring wearing a brace on his right knee. He had some major surgery 2 years ago, a cleanup procedure this past summer. Got off to a bit of a late start, missed the preseason. Has it swatted away. Guess who? See, I think Hayes coming in from a double, and he's saying, stay there. Look at this. Look what I can do, coach. Keep me in. Twice on the pipes. He is something else. And he tried, as you said, he tried to talk his way into staying in this game. He didn't win that argument, but his consolation prize is a standing ovation. Well, he could be a politician. He's certainly a world-class philanthropist, and now he's looking to coach. And you know what? Who can deny him? A one-point game. Let's go Rockets is the deafening chant here inside the Toyota Center. Game 1 of a rematch from a year ago when the Jazz beat the Rockets in 7 as Kirilenko fouls McGrady. And especially here in the third quarter, Doris, there's been no settling for jump shots from Tracy McGrady. I think Rockets fans love to see it because at 6'7", with the handle he has, as you see Millsap and Boozer, he could take a seat for quite some time with those 4 personal fouls. This is a guy who can get to the rack anytime he wants. That's already the 5th team foul this quarter on Utah. And the free throw attempts, Doris, the next one for McGrady will be the 19th in the game for Houston. Utah's only been to the line 3 times all night long. And Utah's got some pretty major foul trouble right here. Scola just got away with trying to reach out and grab Harpring. Scola's the guy who got Boozer and Millsap into foul trouble. Williams inside. Now, we were wondering about that in the first half because there is absolutely no way they can guard him down around the box. He's simply too strong, understands how to use his body. Let's see, did the Jazz go to Williams on the box now? 10 points, 6 assists for Darren Williams. Kirilenko given the task of defending McGrady. McGrady turns the corner into Scola. Kirilenko altered the shot, and an offensive foul is called on Scola. Number 3 on him. Well, you can't use the left arm to clear space, so this is a... He does. He uses it. Given as good as he gets, certainly. How about the length of Kirilenko altering that shot after Scola had left his feet?
Kirilenko over McGrady. A big night for Andrei Kirilenko.
Well, there was a time where he was unhappy. He wasn't playing terrific. He certainly wasn't shooting it as well as he did early. Now, AK-47 has got the bullets in the pocket tonight.
He's been an all-star. He's been an all-league defensive player as Hayes fumbles the pass out of bounds. There have been about 3 of those for the Rockets tonight where they had easy points literally slip through their fingers.
Now, what do they say about the playoff stand? Possession by possession. That's what Rick Adelman was talking about before the game. In this circumstance, every possession is important.
Darren Williams thriving in the pick-and-roll system of Jerry Sloan. Korver misses the shot. And which way is it going to go? As the officials confer, and it will stay with the Jazz.
Boy, if there was ever evidence of how important possession by possession, it was the Suns and Spurs today.
Yeah.
You know, think about, they come out of that timeout. Finley goes off a stagger screen, gets that 3. Duncan gets a 3.
Yeah, if you had Duncan hitting a 3 to force overtime in the office pool, good on you. What a game. Yeah, the Cleveland-Washington game went right down to the wire. The 7-point ending does not really do justice to how close the game was. And Dallas had a big lead over New Orleans in the first half. The Hornets roared back and won it with a great second half. Scola is called for the block, and that is number 4 on him.
So you have the right idea. This guy knows how to play the game. He tries to make the anticipation. It is a very good call.
Yeah. And we have a timeout on the floor. Well, in many ways, Luis Scola has been the dominant performer in this game, affecting it at both ends of the floor. Game 1 of this Western Conference first-round series between the number 4 seed Utah Jazz, number 5 Houston. The Rockets getting home court by virtue of a better regular season record. Time now to take a look at tonight's GMC game track. The Jazz with a double-figure lead through parts of the first half. Back have come the Rockets. They actually took the lead briefly, but now they are down by 4. Andrei Kirilenko having a nice game for Utah. Tracy McGrady playing very well. 20 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds for the Houston Rockets. Some of the big stories in the NBA this season, some of the headlines, and just a great regular season for the NBA. The Boston Celtics with the single biggest turnaround in league history. Wound up with the best record in the NBA. How about these Rockets? Won 22 in a row, second longest win streak in league history. The last 10 after Yao was injured. And it was a wild, wild West. All 8 playoff teams winning 50 or more games, separated 1 through 8 by just 7 games. The Rockets went from 10th to tied for first in the 22-game winning streak, wound up number 5. And the standings changed night by night in the Western Conference.
An extraordinary run without Yao Ming to be on that much of a roll, lose that guy, and continue to defend possession by possession like the Rockets did and have done in this period was huge. What a great story. Now, you think about the teams that have had those kinds of streaks. 3 of them have won championships.
Yep. And certainly, as we said to Tracy McGrady this morning, 99.9% of people thought after Yao was hurt, the Rockets probably would not make the postseason. As Jackson knocks it down, McGrady corrected us. He said, no, not 99.9%. 100% of people thought the Rockets were done. Jackson's jumper makes it a 2-point game. Steve Novak in for the first time tonight for Houston, number 20. A great outside shooter, as is Kyle Korver of the Utah Jazz.
Well, what an answer. And their numbers since his addition have been extraordinary. Jerry Sloan, not a guy who values the three-point shot necessarily. He doesn't mind you taking it, provided it's in the context of the offense and you've got rebounders in position.
Carl Landry has replaced Scola, who's got 4 fouls. Remember, Boozer and Millsap each with 4 and on the bench for the Jazz. McGrady over Korver. Landry runs down the loose ball. That, in a nutshell, right there, is why Rick Adelman is so high on the rookie out of Purdue.
Well, those were the kinds of things that the Jazz were getting in the first half and that the Rockets have gotten here in the second.
Jackson for 3. Rebound Harpring. Boy, with Harpring and Landry and Hayes, you got some scrappers in the game right now. Kirilenko the screen. Williams goes the other way, and it's a clean block. 5-on-4 now. Williams just getting back up. Novak wide open. What a rebound by Hayes. McGrady trying to take Korver. Nice feed. And Okoro with a block shot on Landry. Korver, quick release again, and his second big bucket in the last couple of minutes.
That guy could flat out shoot it. And in transition, people had run the floor, so they had rebounders in position should he not make that shot.
All of a sudden, the lead back up to 8 for the Jazz here in Game 1 in Houston. McGrady. And Korver comes back and blocks the shot. The second unit for the Jazz, Harpering, Millsap, Korver, outstanding tonight. Final seconds of the third quarter, and a Utah foul will send the Rockets to the line. Mehmet Okur called for the foul. Number 3 on him. And to the line will go Carl Landry, as mentioned, the rookie out of Purdue. Doris, in the first 39 games this year, he played in 3 of them. Second half of the year, just with his energy, athleticism, rebounding, he became a real factor in their rotation.
Well, he catapulted above Hayes because he's a better offensive player.
First round coverage of the NBA playoffs continues on ABC tomorrow. It is Game 1 between the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers. Coverage beginning with the GMC NBA countdown at 2:30 Eastern, and then the tip-off just after 3. The NBA playoffs, first round on ABC tomorrow at 3. Your NBA destination. The Nuggets, a fascinating team. They can score with anybody. Defense, another story. Gasol playing just great for the Lakers. Kobe's on a mission, going to be some kind of a series.
Allen Iverson, second all-time, 30 points per game in the playoffs.
Williams is fouled on a strong drive into the lane. Williams has spent a considerable amount of time down on the deck tonight. Not shying away from the big bodies on the inside.
No, and how many times have we seen him this year use that crossover and multiple crossovers to get by guys, and then use that upper body strength to either get here to the free throw line or get some and ones.
Let's check out the drive from about a minute ago, and again he went right to the rim.
Well, what do you notice? You get help defense because the crossover is sensational. He blows right by Jackson, but look at them converge. And this is what they did during that streak. They guarded hard. They helped each other win games.
Utah, a better offensive team during the season. Houston, as Doris mentioned, a better defensive team. And that kept them in a lot of games, even after the injury to Yao. The third quarter comes to a close with the Jazz on the road holding an 8-point lead. They finish the third quarter on an 11-3 run. And Kyle Korver coming up with some big plays at both ends of the floor for the Utah Jazz, knocking down a couple of threes for the Jazz and blocking Tracy McGrady. A Rick Adelman interview when we come back. But first, back to the studio. Let's rejoin Mark Jones.
Back in the Toyota Center with Houston, Rick Adelman, and Coach, Utah's Kirilenko with 16 points. Kyle Korver, back-to-back threes. How do you guys better defend the perimeter in the fourth?
Well, we made mistakes. You can't make mistakes. We made mistakes defensively and offensively. We went under on Korver. You're supposed to trail him. You just got to get to it. Every time you make minimal mistakes, they take advantage of it, and we have to finish at the basket.
You told us that you wanted to beat Utah at Utah's game by being more physical, more aggressive. How satisfied are you with that effort so far?
It's not happening. We got to do a better job.
Coach, thanks for your time. Dan, back to you.
All right, Heather, thank you. It happened for a while, but then the Jazz got the upper hand late in the third quarter, thanks in part to 2 threes and a block from Kyle Korver after the trade with Philadelphia. Look at the record for the Utah Jazz. Only the Rockets had a better record over that span. A great shooter, spreads the floor, and allows Williams and Abuzer to do their thing with a little more freedom.
Well, put Okoro on one side of the floor with Korver on the opposite end, and then those two guys in the middle of the floor with a pick and roll. You got a world of options.
Kirilenko driving on Steve Novak.
And then you got that guy for whom they really don't run a lot of plays. You know, he just gets to the box, feels like he's got a good matchup, spins off, and scores it.
Suddenly it's back to 10 after the Rockets not only got back into it, actually took the lead briefly in the third quarter. Brooks inside. Landry with a slam.
There you see Aaron Brooks able to get off the dribble drive and put your help defense at a premium and a good finish. Landry has got some ups.
Again, with depleted depth for Houston, 2 rookies and a second-year player in the game right now. Landry and Brooks are the rookies. Novak, a second-year player who hasn't played all that much. That dunk notwithstanding, the second unit for the Jazz has still had its way with the second unit for the Rockets, outscoring them 23-9. A look at the brackets in the ever-competitive Western Conference. The Lakers and Nuggets will meet tomorrow. Coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern with a pregame show on ABC. San Antonio and Phoenix in as good a game as you can see, worthy of Game 7 of a conference final. It was Game 1 of the first round. Tim Duncan, a monster game as the Spurs went in double overtime. Hard to believe they might play 6 more at that level of intensity, but it might work out that way.
Just extraordinary basketball. I think Steve Nash wants that possession back late in the game where the shot clock expired. That is a mistake you never see Steve Nash make.
The other game, the one right before us, a great second half for Chris Paul and the Hornets to beat Dallas in Game 1 of their series. Landry is fouled, and again another active, athletic body. And Landry will head to the line. Let's update you on the Eastern Conference here on day 1 of the NBA playoffs. The first game today, you may have seen on ESPN earlier today, Cleveland winning 93-86. LeBron with 32 as they beat the Wizards. And then 3 Eastern Conference games tomorrow. Boston, Atlanta, Orlando, Toronto, and Detroit against an intriguing Philadelphia 76ers team. A very young athletic group, had a great second half, went 22-12 in their last 34 games to get into the playoffs.
I love Mo Cheeks. When I was a kid, I dreamed to be a Mo Cheeks. They got no shot in that series.
Oh, really?
I just don't see it. I mean, Detroit is too good a team. They're efficient. They've got a ton of playoff experience.
Nine-point lead for the Jazz. Darren Williams back in for Ronnie Price at the point. Again, Brooks giving up a lot of size in this matchup. Kirilenko takes a bump from Novak. Novak is a great shooter, but can struggle at times as a defender. He's 6'10", but really a 3, and struggles with quicker, more athletic people at that position.
Yeah, he's on the floor to make shots right now, but obviously that's the end they're going to try to take advantage of. Let's see if they attack him here on this possession.
And they're trying to. Kirilenko again. Shot clock at 7. Boozer from the elbow. Off the rim and into the hands of Landry. You can see the quickness on Brooks trying to get away from Williams, who does a good job staying with him. Battier can't get Kirilenko in the air. Landry over Harpring, around and out, rebound Boozer. 13th rebound of the night for Carlos Boozer.
Everything with the finish for Landry. He had him on his hip pocket. He got him underneath the orange.
And a kick ball there. And they'll reset the shot clock to 14 as Tracy McGrady enters for Houston. You can see the career numbers from McGrady. One of the themes of the game, of the series, really. One of the things we talked about off the top. McGrady never getting to the second round. 0-6. 1 with Toronto, 3 with Orlando, 2 with Houston. Yet almost without fail, his playoff numbers have been better than his regular season numbers. And he has never played on a team seeded 1 through 4. He's always been on a team seeded 5 through 8.
Look at that.
Williams with a deep 3.
Well, you know what? They didn't have to put him on the box. He just simply shoots over Brooks. And he's just got so much size. That's an easy 3-point attempt. That's a guy who's almost 40% from deep.
14 points, 9 assists for Darren Williams. Battier driving on Kirilenko and is fouled. Let's check in with Heather Cox.
Well, we see what Darren Williams is doing. Hard to believe he's actually playing not 100%. He's got that bruised, what we call a bruised tailbone. It's really an SI joint in that lower back. He said, I'm definitely slowed down by it. It's hard to push off. I see openings. I can't get to them because I can't push off. I can't explode like I'm used to, and it's definitely affecting my game. And Doris, I see that he's changing his game and using strengths in a different way tonight than he did in previous games.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch him on tape, this is a guy whose crossover is sensational. He gets in little gaps, and he's able to attack with his body. But that last possession, Aaron Brooks, who's given up some size, he gives him a little bit of a cushion. It's an easy jump shot. Right there, probably the 3 point guards. Most people would agree right now with the 3 best point guards in the NBA. And Paul Nash and Williams, 1, 2, 3 in the league in assists as Battier makes 1 of 2. Houston is getting to the line, but they are struggling from the line. 15 of 25 tonight. Williams has managed the second half. Skola's back into the game for Houston. He's got 4 fouls. Harpering the air ball. Hayes the rebound, and here comes McGrady. So I think he needs to take over from a scoring standpoint now. He's gotten his teammates involved, and they could use him to get off on the offensive end. Battier draws the double team. Jackson behind the back, right at Darren Williams, and a one-handed rebound ripped down by Carlos Boozer. Again, I'll go back to Tracy McGrady. I think he's got to take the majority of shots from this point forward. A great cut by Harpering, and he draws the foul. A timeout on the floor. The Rockets got back into it, took the lead, but now it's all Utah with the lead back to 11 for the Jazz. Now the Lakers have played so well after the trade for Gasol, Mark, in spite of the continued absence of Bynum. The Jazz have played so well thanks to the absolute stardom of Darren Williams. Let's go way back in time to the 5th grade for Darren Williams. And if we ignore for the moment that the 2 people around him in the yearbook, that one wanted to be an actress biologist, you don't see that as much nowadays, and the young man underneath him apparently didn't have a future. Darren Williams knew in the 5th grade he wanted to be an NBA superstar. You know what? Think back. Coming out of high school from the Colony, Texas, near Dallas, came out alongside Bracy Wright, who went to Indiana. Bracy Wright got more hype, more pub than Darren Williams did at that time. Going to Illinois, Darren Williams shared the spotlight with Dee Brown and Luther Head to a certain extent as well. But now, I mean, to say he's come into his own in the NBA is not doing justice to what he did in high school and college. But he has become a superstar at the NBA level. He has lived up to his 5th grade dreams in just his 3rd year in the league. When a guy who has coached John Stockton says that Darren Williams' basketball IQ is as good as anyone he's coached, I don't think anything more needs to be said. Yeah. When the all-time league assist leader, John Stockton, spent so many years playing for Coach Sloan. McGrady double-teamed in the post, and Kirilenko comes down with a rebound. Kirilenko, just a tough matchup because of his length. Tracy's 7 for 19, but again, I still go run my offense through him. He's got to touch it. I think he could attack off the bounce, back to the basket. Whatever he does, Tracy can take over a game like LeBron, like Kobe. Williams to Boozer, something that will be said thousands more times over the next decade or so. 10 assists now for Darren Williams. And Utah now has its largest lead of the night. We're up 13 in the second quarter. Houston came all the way back to take the lead. And now Utah's not only grabbed the lead back, but extended it all the way to 15. Battier, quick trigger on the 3. They needed that one. 16 now for Battier. The deficit is a dozen for the Rockets. Darren Williams, from the end of the 3rd period into this 4th, has just managed the second half beautifully. And they go pick and roll again. And he draws the foul, just lowering that shoulder. And Bobby Jackson called for the foul. Rick Adelman was asked about the comparison between Stockton and Malone with Boozer and Williams. He said, I'm not prepared to go there yet. But I will say this about Williams. What he does share with John Stockton, his singular purpose is winning basketball games. A fierce competitor, plays the game with, I don't know if a chip on his shoulder is a little bit too strong, but just a great competitive nature.
As the first free throw rims out, the NBA calendar on TNT tomorrow. Coverage begins at noon. The tip-off just after 12:30 on TNT. Game 1 between the Raptors and Magic, followed by Philadelphia, Detroit at 6 o'clock, and then Atlanta at Boston at 8:30. ABC tomorrow afternoon. Coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern. Then it's Game 1, the Nuggets and Lakers just after 3, and then NBA TV on Tuesday. Game 2 between Toronto and an Orlando team nobody talks about. A team that won over 50 games, finished 3rd in the conference, and not being given a whole lot of attention heading into the postseason. Scola with the offensive rebound.
Might have gotten away with a push, Scola.
He's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Yes.
We have seen that already tonight.
Look at Harpring keep Tracy McGrady in front.
And McGrady almost turned it over, and it will wind up in a foul call going against the Rockets.
Boy, terrific job by Matt Harpring to do a stellar job keeping Tracy McGrady in front, forcing him to be a passer and getting a turnover. I mean, look at this. This is just down and dirty defense. Keep him in front. Stay in a stance. That is not easy to do. Makes him a passer, and it's a tough pass because everybody's in held position, weak side. Foul on Scola.
Yeah, wrapping up the arm of Kirilenko, number 5 on Scola, and also the 15th foul on the Rockets. So Kirilenko to the line for the Jazz.
Does that not show you why Jerry Sloan is a huge Matt Harpring fan?
Yep. If you'll do the dirty work, if you'll get down in a defensive stance, you'll get some minutes with Jerry Sloan. And think again of how big a win would be tonight here for Utah. The best home team in the NBA this season. The Jazz 37-4 at home. If they can steal a game here in Houston, then the Rockets know in order to advance, they'll have to win a game in Salt Lake City. Now, they were one of the 4 teams to win there during the regular season way back in early November when Tracy McGrady had 47. But it's a very, very difficult thing to do. Scola and a block by Kirilenko. What a night he is having.
He's, I think, their best help defender. Because of his length, he blocks a lot of shots on other people's man.
Under 6 to go in the 4th, and the Jazz up by 14 as we send you back to Mark Jones. A great 4th quarter for the Utah Jazz as they have extended their lead over the Houston Rockets to 14 here. Under 6 minutes to play in regulation. Carlos Boozer, Darren Williams, pick and roll, the feed, the bucket. They make it look so easy sometimes.
Well, you think about the 2 guys who did this for Jerry Sloan early in his career, and everyone knew in the building the pick and roll was coming. It didn't matter because John Stockton was sensational. The comparisons have been drawn. Darren Williams, a sensational pass, the finish inside to Boozer. You know, they're not there yet, but what does this franchise do? They build with the pieces that fit into Jerry Sloan's half-court offense.
269 Williams to Boozer assists and buckets during the regular season, and a handful more already here tonight. Battier with his second 3 in the last couple of minutes. And the Rockets need all they can get right now. 19 for Battier.
Yeah, the Rockets are a team that 21% of their possessions, they get a 3-point shot off. It's a huge part of what they do without Yao.
Nice cut underneath the bucket, and Harpring lays it in on the feed from Kirilenko. I tell you, Andre Kirilenko has had some kind of a night. Trading buckets not good enough right now for Houston. Nearly turned over. Shot clock at 6. Kirilenko right in Battier's grill. Shot clock at 2. Brooks. And a shot clock violation on Houston.
A couple of great defensive series by the Utah Jazz. Contested shots. Harpring, we showed you him earlier, keeping Tracy McGrady in front. You cannot trade 2s, and the disparity in paint points has been huge because the Rockets, their philosophy is not to give up any paint points. No easy 2s. 44-34, 10-point advantage.
Under 5 to go in the 4th quarter. Boozer, just too big and strong for Carl Landry.
Well, make the disparity 12 now because that's 46 paint points.
So Rick Adelman needing to try to come back and to get into this game, trying to put his best offensive unit out there. That means Scola and Landry, no Mutombo, but that means Boozer's got a strength advantage over whoever's guarding him, and the frustration setting in for McGrady and company here as everything, the score, the time, working against them.
And remember, 78% of the time, the winner of Game 1 goes on to win the series.
And remember again, the Jazz, the best home team in the NBA. So if Utah wins here, Houston will have to win one in Salt Lake City. Korver had it knocked away. Here comes McGrady. Luther head into the game. Houston goes even smaller. Battier with yet another three. 7 for 7, 22 points.
Guy plays every possession like it's his last.
As does Darren Williams, coast to coast.
Too easy.
Third year in the league. How good is he going to be? Already one of the best point guards in the NBA. Brooks the miss. Boozer, another rebound, his 16th.
Well, Williams actually is bleeding from his lip, and it was harboring his own teammate, I think, who made the contact on him.
3.5 to go.
Now you manage the clock, and look at Williams directing traffic. Unlike Stockton, who didn't want to call the plays, Williams is the one who calls the plays.
Yeah, Jerry Sloan telling us that Williams wants to be the quarterback out there a lot more than Stockton. Stockton more content to look over to the bench and have Coach Sloan call the play. And Jerry Sloan says there are times where he and Darren Williams don't always see eye to eye, but that's when Jerry Sloan, again, is very quick to point out how intelligent Darren Williams is with his basketball IQ off the charts, and how comfortable he is letting Darren Williams run the offense.
He actually will tell you he does a better job than he does sometimes. More and more responsibility. I'll tell you the other trait he shares with John Stockton. Chris Paul is terrific with the media. You don't get the feeling Darren Williams cares about media attention. And John Stockton was the same way. I'm telling you, the guy just wants to win.
Remember, this is a team that a year ago beat Houston in 7, then beat Golden State, and then lost to San Antonio in the Western Conference Finals. They have had a taste of some pretty big things already in the postseason. Scola misses the reverse, follows it up, and lays it in again. 14 and 12 tonight for Luis Scola. This is also a Utah team, and again, this is just game 1 of the first round. 38 and 12 in their last 50. Some big wins against some top teams in the Western Conference, most of them at home. But this is one of the teams, when you talk to opposing coaches, said, man, I don't want a piece of those guys in the playoffs. They're playing as well as anybody entering the postseason. Brooks is fouled and will go to the line when we come back from a timeout. The Utah Jazz seemingly on their way to a road win here in game 1 of this series. When you're painting a room, Dan Shulman, Doris Burke back with you in Houston. The story tonight, though, has been the Utah Jazz on their way to a huge road win.
Well, I think when you look, they've been the best team since the new year in the league, and they're better on the road after the new year than they were early. And I know that's a big part of everyone's story about this team, the disparity between the home wins, road wins. They won in Boston, in Phoenix, in Denver, and in Houston back on January 27th, before the streak started for Houston. So I'm telling you, I think the knock against them on the road is maybe a little bit overplayed, especially with what they've done later in the year.
Had a stretch just a week and a half ago where in consecutive games they held San Antonio to 64 points and New Orleans to 66 points. They can buckle down on defense, even though they are known more as a good offensive team. They weathered the storm here tonight. The Rockets overcame a 13-point deficit, took the lead in the third quarter, and then it evaporated just as quickly. Boozer trying to jam it in over Scola. Brooks getting a lot of minutes tonight off the bench for the Rockets, and again with that extra gear, gets by his defender and draws the foul. Look at the leading scorers tonight for the Jazz, and Andrei Kirilenko right from the outset has been a terrific addition in the scoring department of Carlos Boozer and Darren Williams. You expect Boozer and Williams to put up the numbers, but not necessarily Kirilenko.
You think about how few times Darren Williams went off the dribble in the first period, and we go back to what Heather talked about with the injury that he had. Bruised his tailbone, to put it as succinctly as we possibly can. That allowed Kirilenko some freedom in that first period to get loose on the offensive end.
Game 2 Monday night here in Houston. Nearing the final 2 minutes. Utah with the ball and an 11-point lead. Now Williams sneaks down in the post. Boozer has it knocked away. Korver is fouled by Brooks. And will go to the line. A 90% plus free throw shooter. The Jazz getting better after the acquisition of Korver as Harpring got healthier. Darren Williams took his game up another notch in the month of March. Averaged better than 13 assists per game.
We've missed some free throws here in the fourth period. And remember, Shane Battier has hit some threes. Now, you do not have to go exclusively to threes, but you need efficient possessions if you're the Houston Rockets. Advance it quickly. And you can, if you're Tracy, you can go right to the rim and maybe pitch to a three-point shooter.
1 of 2 for Korver. Brooks hustles it down the floor. Brooks inside, lays it in with the left hand. Remember, with Alston hurt, Jackson starting, Brooks coming off the bench, but earning himself more minutes. Some pressure by the Rockets, and the Jazz break it.
Yeah, they are just electing to go on their defense and make some stops, not yet electing to foul.
Look at Darren Williams giving the official Ron Garrettson a piece of his mind after Brooks slapped at him. Boozer.
Empty possessions, giving the Rockets a chance. Tracy McGrady yet to score here in the fourth period.
Precious seconds ticking away. Rebound Korver on the miss by Brooks. Novak's going to come back into the game now for Houston. As we near the final minute, and the Jazz will run off as much time as they can. And now finally McGrady commits the foul. And heads right to the bench. Novak and Harris back in for the Rockets. And it looks like that's going to be all as far as Rick Adelman is concerned. Battier's out. Lauren Woods will come in for the first time tonight, and Rick Adelman will turn his attention ahead to game number 2. Scola out as well. Well, the team that wins game 1 wins 78% of the time historically, Doris, in a best-of-7 series. And when you're the best home team in the league, which the Jazz are, I would think you might add a few percent to that even.
Yeah, that's as good an environment as there is in the league for Jerry Sloan and his team. Because they're a young team, he would tell you we get a lot of energy from the home crowd. Because of our youth, maybe not as tough as we need to be on the road. I thought they showed great toughness tonight.
Got off to a quick start. Got a nice lead in the first quarter, and then their bench, again, Harpring, Korver, and Millsap did a great job tonight for the Jazz. There's Harpring again, sticking his nose in there, coming up with a steal. And the Rockets will let the time tick away. Utah is going to get out of here with a road win. We'll take a 1-0 lead in the best-of-7. SportsCenter is next here on ESPN. Williams off the glass and good.
What a second half he managed for the Utah Jazz. Masterful with the clock, masterful with possessions when they had to have good ones.
20 points, 10 assists, Doris, tonight for Darren Williams. Lauren Woods jams it home for the Rockets.
As expected, the offensive end of the floor was a major challenge. Houston could not put it together, under 40% on the night.
And 3 Jazz, Kirilenko, Boozer, and Williams, each with 20 or more points. Tracy McGrady's Rockets will need to find a way to win in Salt Lake City to have any chance of taking this series. Utah shoots 52%, and Jerry Sloan's team wins 93-82. A road win for the Jazz here at the Toyota Center over the Houston Rockets.